So should we be using cortisone Kenalog shots administered by dermatologists in our acne? I'm going to tell you about my journey. I started getting cortisone shots, or Kenalog, which is the brand name, in large red spots on my face. I think like early 20s, and it did help, and I wasn't getting them very often, but whenever I went to the derm, this dermatologist only had me on Dove soap, by the way, no moisturizer. That was his technique. And whenever he would inject the large pimple, it would dissipate, especially with the inflammation, because it's supposed to help with inflammation, scar tissue, so on and so forth. So I had good experiences with that. Now, fast forward several years later, I had an excision on my chest, and it left me with a very nasty, inflamed scar and scar tissue. The doctor that originally did the excision said that I needed a lot of Kenalog cortisone shots. I don't know the milligrams he was using, but he was giving me those shots once every 2 weeks. And online, I read that the normal dosage is 40 to 80 milligrams. Well, I developed a massive atrophy. Like, I could put my finger here and I could feel massive atrophic scar. I went to see a specialist at a hospital here in Toronto, and just by looking at it, she said, "You have a atrophic scar." And I said, "Is that from the excision or is that from Kenalog shots?" She said it's most likely from the Kenalog shots, but of course she didn't want to say anything negative about the other dermatologist procedure. She then had to fill up my scar with saline to try and even it out. It didn't actually even out. It leveled out at one point, and then it got more inflamed. So moral of the story, a lot of Kenalog could actually cause an atrophic scar, and I researched this and I saw a lot of girls on YouTube. I felt so bad for them. They said that they had got cortisone shots in their face and then it left with the scar. So please be aware that if you get too many too often and too high of milligram, you could potentially get a groove or an atrophy where you have scar tissue or inflammation. Last year, I was really nervous, but I had a very, very large red inflamed pimple on my cheek. I went to a dermatologist who I had seen in the past. I told him if he could do this safely. He said yes, and he gave me a very, very low dosage of cortisone, and the pimple went away beautifully with absolutely no atrophy and no scar. Moral of the story, do your research, know who injects you, and know all the details before you go see your derm for cortisone.